Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Two for Talking podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusick. This isn't a special emergency episode because, well, first of all, we want to thank Mr. Bill Neofis, as always. So go to neofisinsurance.com. But we had a thumbnail for our episode on Tuesday that aged like milk in the sun because it said dispelling the Tristan Jarry trade rumors. And so, yeah, I'll just throw up the graphic there if you're watching the video. But Tristan Jarry has been traded to Edmonton. The Penguins received Stuart Skinner in return, Brett Kulak, and then a 2029 second round pick, which, hey, I'm okay with that. I like that. But I will throw it to you, Josh, first. Did you get a chance to talk to Dan Muse and hear any reaction on what, is going on with this trade?
Yeah, Dan and Kyle Dubas both talked this afternoon. Actually, I'm still at the practice facility. And in fact, they were just out here watching the youth hockey game. I'm sorry I'm waving at Troy Crosby because we got a youth team from Nova Scotia playing right over my shoulder. So a big one for the Crosbys. But anyway, very simply, this is what I can tell you guys. Edmonton, I don't think it's any secret that they've been interested in Jarry for a while. And I don't think Kyle was ever really interested in doing the deal unless Edmonton was willing to retain all of Jarry's salary. And there was a time when they were not willing to do that. And at some point in the last couple of days, that changed. And I think that changed things immensely for the Penguins. The fact that they were willing to take all of his salary and give the Penguins a pretty nice return. Stu Skinner is nothing special, but he's an adequate NHL goaltender. You got a good defenseman. You got a second round pick. On the surface, guys, I think this trade is absolutely a win for the Penguins. And by the way, would you like to know how much salary cap space the Penguins now have next season? I just did the math. $53.5 million of cap space next summer. That means if they want to be players on the free agent market, they can. That also means, Joe, with all the draft picks they have accumulated, and with all the money they have, all the cap space, if they want to go make a huge trade, if they want to make an offer for a Quinn Hughes or whoever, they certainly are armed to do it now if they want.
That's a great point. I am happy with the fact we did not retain any money.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just, why should we have to retain money if you want him? He's not making $12 million. He's making $5 million in Edmonton. If you're that desperate to dump a guy right to the finals twice, maybe you should get a few more defensemen and maybe a few guys that can forecheck. But that's another story. But I wanted Jean-Luc Calvin Picard. I think he's a steady backup goaltender. He'd know his role. And then we bring up Miroshov. That's what I wanted to happen. I don't like Greg Kulak. I've seen enough Greg Kulak to know he'll fit right in between St. Ivany and Wilkes-Barre Scranton. I mean, are we so quick to dump Ryan Graves out? My only thing I can think of is maybe someone's looking at Graves. And then wouldn't that be the ultimate coup for Mr. Dubas? Oh. Get rid of Graves and Jarry all before Christmas.
Oh, that would be the ultimate. That would be Rob Scuderi for Trevor Daley if that happened. But
I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry. I can't knock Scuds. He got me. He got me a cup. I can't knock Scuds.
Oh no. 2009 Scuds and 2014 Scuds were two very different players.
I know. I hate to put him in the same terms as Mr. Graves.
Oh, for sure. It'll be interesting to see where Kulak. I like him more than you do, but I think he's okay. I don't think he's going to hurt them. I am curious to see what happens with the blue line here moving forward. I think we can all agree the Penguins have a real problem on the blue line right now. His name is Chris Letang. This has been a problem all season long, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. I don't know what they do with the blue line. I'm very curious to see what happens.
Yeah, and the Matt Dumba, by the way,
yes,
placed on waivers. So, there goes that experiment.
You got a draft pick out of it. That's okay. And by the way, the number of draft picks the Penguins now have in the next 4 years, it's unbelievable. In the next 4 years, they have all their first-round picks. They now have 9 second-round picks and 8 third-round picks. They're not going to use all those picks. They're going to get aggressive at some point and use those as part of trade packages. I believe that very strongly.
I thought that this was the end of Dubas. Thanks for the update, Corey. Just the fact that you have Kulak. But, Edmonton's defense is terrible. If he couldn't make it on Edmonton's, is that's what we want? I know it was a total salvage. It was we're taking crap to get $5 million off the books. Skinner did get them to the finals twice, and I like what Super Genius said. Jarry's never won a playoff series. Well, Stuart Skinner has. He's won a bunch of them to lead up to the final. So if we lose in the finals, I think we'll be happy.
Well, yeah, I mean, Skinner, he's okay. I was talking with a friend of mine in the Edmonton media. He said, listen, he's not a great goalie. We all know that, but he's not a terrible one. He's an average NHL goalie. That's what he is. And sometimes when you're playing behind a team like Edmonton, you're going to look really bad as a goaltender because they're not exactly a great defensive team. So you can make an argument, is Jarry more physically gifted than Skinner? Maybe. Yeah, he probably is. But would you ever trust Tristan Jarry in a big game or in a playoff series? I wouldn't. And I think the Penguins have known that for a long time.
Oh, His Holiness, our Savior, Penguins Jesus, with a great point right now. Jarry may be the first goaltender in history to squander the primes of 2 generational players. God bless you, Jesus. He's always great. We have to have His Holiness on sometime.
We should. Yes.
We really should. I think last night was the ultimate Jarry game. The saves he made were clutch, but the goals he gave up were awful.
That's right. No, that's right. I mean, and listen, I do think Jarry deserves some credit for what he did in the last 10 months or whatever it's been since, the second time he went to Wilkes-Barre when he came back up at the end of last season and this season. He's been good. He's played much better. I will give him credit for that. But the fact is he's 30 years old. He's never won a playoff series. He's never looked comfortable in his life in a big game. He's just the classic goaltender that you can be seduced by his talent, but ultimately you could never trust him. And that's why I'm a little befuddled that Stan Bowman thinks Tristan Jarry is the guy who's going to bring some kind of stability between the pipes for the Oilers. To me, the Oilers are a team that needs a good, steady goalie who's not going to shit the bed. Because they're so good. If they just get good goaltending, solid goaltending, they have a chance. Jarry, to me, is just an up-and-down guy that will be great some nights, but not other nights. And do I think Jarry's going to stand between the pipes and stare down the Avs or the Golden Knights in a 7-game series and win? No, maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I've never seen that from him.
Yeah.
Two things on Jarry. Now obviously I'm not in the locker room for the interviews, but last year his kind of his aloofness or his confidence or something about him, or he was not taking blame for losses, really rubbed me the wrong way. And that attitude, whether he went to a psychiatrist or the bus in Wilkes-Barre changed it. I really thought his attitude was superb this season. If not dealing with you, Josh, dealing with the team as well. I just found it to be refreshing. And my second thought on them getting Jarry Edmonton is obviously they didn't want the last 7 years of UC Saros' contract because that's who I thought they should get.
Right. I mean, yeah, that would make more sense to me. I don't disagree with you. And first of all, in Tristan, yeah, I mean, he was certainly more pleasant to be around this year in a better mood. Hey, he was playing well. It's funny how that happens. I didn't always like his attitude. I always found him to be, I don't know if immature is the word. Maybe that is the word. He certainly has grown up a lot, I think, in the last year. But he could be difficult to deal with and just an enigma in general. You could see the talent, but look at his splits. He's always so good in the first half of the season. And when the second half comes, he usually fades. In the playoffs, I don't need to remind people what happened against the Islanders in 2021. I realize he was a young goaltender then, but still, he just, I always go back to him. Would I really trust him in a big game? No, I wouldn't. He's just never been that guy. He'll get the opportunity to prove me wrong. But I thought it was a lot to give up for Edmonton in this situation. And for them to not get the Penguins to retain any money, Like, Kyle Dubas is on one hell of a heater right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God, I want to go to the casino with him. Like,
Right? Yeah.
sit down at the blackjack table. Everything's aces for this guy.
Come to Rivers Casino, pal.
Yeah, and it may be a bigger question. How is Skinner at shootouts?
I don't know. He never has to stop that many because he plays with a bunch of guys who score a lot of goals in shootouts, I'm sure.
And Leon and Jesus are just gold in the 5-minute 3-on-3.
Yeah, they are. And you know what else is interesting, talking about the goaltending guys? They're going to stick with Skinner and Sheloves for now. I expect Sheloves to get the start tomorrow against the Sharks for sure. I would guess we might see Skinner on Sunday against Utah. But I actually asked Kyle Dubas this. Like, what does this mean for Sergei Miroshov? Because he might be their best option right now. Skinner's not really having a great season. Miroshov looked fine in his 3 games up at the NHL level, and the numbers he's putting up in Wilkes-Barre are absurd. I think his save percentage is like .946 or something ridiculous. And Kyle basically said, we're going to go with these 2 for now. But he also said, like, the door's open, and he was referencing Jarry's contract. That's out of the way now. So basically, whoever wants to be the number 1 guy will be. And I think we all agree it's a matter of time until Miroshov is that guy.
Yeah. Do you think, is there any way they bring Miroshov up? Who do they move? What do they do? Like, can they get rid of Sheloves? Can they get rid of Skinner without any kind of salary, like any kind of punishment?
They would both have to clear waivers. That might be the bigger issue. And so we'll see. It's a very fair question. And maybe Skinner will come here and play great. And if that happens, fine. You let Miroshov keep doing what he's doing in Wilkes-Barre. And Joel Blomqvist has played great as well. We should mention that too. Isn't it refreshing to have this kind of goaltending depth in the organization, though? It changes everything, doesn't it, the outlook?
Well, it's refreshing if I'm rooting for Wilkes-Barre Scranton. I'm not as refreshed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I got to say, like, did it have to happen this weekend? Before this weekend? Because I think we kicked it around on DVE, and I think, Josh, you started it, is in your column, which I think Mike referenced, was this is really a turning point. The last turning point that was like, oh, God, we went and we beat the Capitals. After the horrific Toronto game, we beat the Capitals. And then after I don't think as horrific as the Toronto game, but maybe even more scarring, the Ducky disaster, we laid an egg last night.
Yeah.
And I think, 4 points against 2 teams, hey, exciting, fun, young teams, but we got to beat these teams. And right now, it looks like we're missing 2009 Gino. Yeah. Because that second line or third line is a disaster. And we miss Lazat. And we miss Ricard Raquel. Yeah. And I would have liked to have had, heaven forbid, Tristan Jarry in net for at least one of these games, other than 2 guys I don't trust at all. And I kind of think this is the season.
Well, it's a really big weekend. A couple of news items, by the way. While they did not make it official, it sounds like Raquel's going to play tomorrow.
Thank God.
He's been activated under the roster. I think there's a real chance we will see Ricard Raquel back in action. And boy, will he be a sight for sore eyes, because the Penguins' top line has missed him terribly. So you're probably going to see Raquel back in the lineup. That's a really big thing. And yeah, you're right, Joe. This is a really huge weekend, and there is a risk here. For all the things I've said about Jarry, he has been playing well. Nobody could question that he has been a very good NHL goaltender this season. So it is a calculated risk letting him go. And in fact, I asked Kyle Dubas, I said, listen, you talk about the future all the time. I understand that, but do you expect this team to make the playoffs? And he basically said yes. And in fact, he said, I think we're capable of being much better than what we've showed. And he said he's not very happy with the points that he's seen them slip away lately, because he thinks this team's really good and he thinks they can keep getting better throughout the course of the season. So he didn't come out and say it, but my take on what he said was, yeah, we should make the playoffs this year, and that's my goal. He didn't say that last year. Things have changed a little bit.
Do you think there's I was just going to say, do you think there's
Corey.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, now I'm gonna, of course, gonna jump on that point because now I feel like Novak's got to be the second line center, and I like that line a lot more now. And I've, and I'll even put up with Kevin Hayes as the fourth center because I haven't liked Heineken's game since he's been back.
Well, I don't like Hayes or Heinen's game
Well,
particularly.
I know. I want Bros. I want Bros.
I wouldn't mind seeing that either. I do wonder if we might see Tommy Novak centering the second line tomorrow. I bet we do, assuming Raquel goes back on the top line, which seems to be the plan. I think Novak would be the best option. Like that line with Malkin and Brazo and Mantha really worked, but it was already kind of a slow line. It just happened to work as Malkin's playing out of his mind and those guys clicked. With Hayes on that line, it's just way too slow. It's to the point of being utterly ineffective. And you mentioned Blake Lizotte. Boy, do they miss him right now. I'm telling you, when they have a lead in the third period, he's one of the few guys you can trust to go out there and do the right things. They miss him quite a bit. And that's one thing to keep in mind with these Penguins. I know everyone's upset by the last two games, and understandably so, but they're playing without a lot of really important players right now. That's something we should remember.
Yeah,
I think Raquel back is huge, though, because I think to terrific Tommy in the middle. I think he's going to help that line immensely. Hayes just doesn't help that line at all.
Well,
and then Hayes, the fourth line, it'll be okay with Hayes. It'll be okay.
Hayes looked Hayes looked so slow last night. Like, I don't know, Joe. I mean, like, you had to have been sitting there screaming at your TV because he made the Brazo and the Mantha look like freaking Connor McDavid.
Well, he was so slow, Corey, that he wasn't in the play. Like Brazo and Mo were always up ice, seemingly on a 1-on-3 because Hayes was nowhere to be. It reminded me of whenever, speaking of Edmonton, whenever Luch joined Jesus, there was like, oh no, Jesus has a bodyguard and the puck. Luch was so slow he couldn't even get to the celebration in time.
No, you're right. And I also see Hayes just fumbling the puck a lot. His hands don't look great either. It's bad enough that he's moving as slowly as he is. But yeah, the Penguins, without Gino, the power play has struggled. They look, like a team that's struggling to score 5-on-5 as well. The kid line's actually been really good. They're just not scoring. I think the goals will come, but you also don't want to count on them for offense. I don't know if that's necessarily fair to them, given how young they all are. There's a lot of things going on here to consider, but Raquel back in the lineup, that's a good thing because that top line really it's been better with Novak, but Sid and Rusty, they could use Raquel back in the lineup, and hopefully Rusty will have one game where he doesn't have to go to the trainer's room in the middle of a game. Poor guy.
At least Raquel knows not to hit Rusty with the puck. Yeah, I tell you the best thing about last night was Sid wasn't injured. That's sort of the best thing that happened in that game.
And I was a little concerned about that. I spoke to him after the game. I said, Jesus, I was a little worried about you. That didn't look too good. And he looked at me. He said, yeah, Tanger got all of that shot too. I said, yeah, it looked like it.
hey, Sid, when Tanger's shooting, just don't be in front of the net because he won't hit you then.
Yeah. Don't stand in the glass. Don't stand by the glass.
I know we got to wrap this up in a minute, but boy, we could do a whole hour talking about Crystal Tang and how bad he is right now. I mean, it's painful to watch. He is costing them games right now with how bad he has been. He is. Something's got to be done about the way he's playing.
Speaking of Jesus, who's appeared twice now, and I give him the big assist, primary assist on the best line of the show. I prophesized Letang for 5, since 2007. Since he didn't play, we still won the Stanley Cup. I've said the same thing. So.
Yeah. It's well, my question,
Chris Bosh
real quick,
of the Penguins. Chris Bosh.
Chris Bosh of the Penguins. You guys might have, when I had to take a phone call from my kid's school, so it kind of alarmed me. But so you might have said this, so forgive me if you did. But if they don't lose these last 3 games, do you think they pull the Jarry trade? Because we kind of talked about it on Tuesday, where we were saying you kind of lose the room, and now it's something needs. You got to take someone out.
No, it's a good question. But I mean, Kyle was basically asked that, and he didn't say this, but my sense is Edmonton just changed his offer in the last 36 hours. And I think he would have made the trade if they won the last 3 games, to be honest with you. I don't think they ever viewed Jarry as a long-term answer. I think not long after that contract was signed, they viewed the contract as a mistake. And if there was ever a time they could get out from all of the money, I think they were probably willing to pull the trigger. And that's exactly what happened. And to his credit, he played so well in the first 2 months of the season that I think it made Edmonton up the ante.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that actually, the pieces aside, the fact they got out of the contract is huge.
Yes.
And getting a second round pick. Like, I mean, think about that. Over the summer, if we would have told you just a second round pick and getting it in that 50% retained salary, it'd been like, oh my God, it's great.
Right.
So good for Josh. Before we go here, was there any kind of big long line like there was for Flower whenever Flower left and all the media members lined up to give him a hug and give a tearful goodbye? I don't know if you and Jarry had that moment or.
He and I certainly would not have, but Jarry was not here. He was already gone by the time that practice ended and we were in the locker room. So I presume he's on his way to Toronto, which is where the Oilers play tomorrow night, I believe. So, guys, on Tuesday night in Pittsburgh, we might get Stu Skinner against Tristan Jarry. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think the crowd's going to do, Joe, when they show the tribute video? First of all, what's the tribute video going to be? Is it going to be the gaffes or the?
I don't think there will be one because they have a new policy. They only do tribute videos if you've won a cup now.
Oh, so, that's right. That's right.
I don't know that there will be one for him. Probably a mixed reaction. I think people appreciate how he played this season, but he was never really a Penguins fan favorite, and for some legitimate reasons, I would say.
Well, then I hope I never see a tribute video again, unless somehow Letang gets traded.
Yeah,
because that's it. That's all that's left. There's only 4 guys left, and they have a tribute video, and 2 of them are going to retire in black and gold.
That's right.
And I hope the youngest one does too. The guy was only 2. I hope never gets a tribute video either.
Yeah, we don't need to deal with Rusty ever being traded. Joe wouldn't handle that very well.
No, I would
agree.
No, that wouldn't be a 20-minute podcast. That would be all right. Look, we're gonna have 2 hours, and Joe's just gonna go.
It would be an emergency podcast from Jefferson Memorial Hospital.
I was gonna say we're gonna be in the psych ward.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, all right. Well, Tristan Jarry, thank you for playing well enough to get off the books, and Kyle Dubas, we appreciate everything you're doing. And damn yous, as long as you don't put Letang and Carlson out on a power play with a 1-goal lead and 17 seconds left, everything's good. So
that's right.
Everything, all other than a 3-game losing streak, all is good in Penguin land right now. So let's turn it around. But thank you guys as always, and we'll talk to you guys on our usual episode Monday or Tuesday, whatever day we figure out. We can do it.
And thanks, Bill the Office.
Yes, thank you. Go to neofisinsurance.com.
Absolutely.
See you guys.